Who do you say I'm sorry to first? How do you go? Do you go back to relationships and say, hey, I realized 20 years ago when we had this conversation, I did not hear you. I did not.
True.
Other things could have happened in our lives greater.
Yeah.
What are our action items to moving past this?
I think the thing is, first we need to, once we realize and identify within ourselves, this is where I'm at.
Yeah.
And then as the healing process happens, God will give you exactly how to deal with each person. It may be a letter, it may be a phone call, or maybe just you praying for them. It's just different ways that God will give you to deal with each individual that you have come across and that you have hurt.
And you just hit another point that a lot of people don't realize, and I want to take a theological stand and say, even in our brokenness, like the fact that we're breathing, the fact that we are living, that means some spiritual activities going on in our lives. Evidence of that is the fact that stop breathing and see what your body can do.
Yeah.
Right? That means there's something else on the inside of us that operates. And if we can acknowledge there's something on the inside of us that operates. Now, we're never apologetic about, I'm not apologetic about my faith. And I realize that some of you guys know the universe and the creator and vibrations and all of that. And so I'm not negating any of that, but I am saying there's a sense in you that only God can respond to. And what you're saying is, even in your brokenness,
yes,
you can still stay connected to that space, to that, what we call the Holy Spirit, what I call Yeshua, what I call Jesus. You can still be connected and be broken.
yes,
and still hear, hey, this is the path to what's next. This is who you should talk to. This is who you shouldn't talk to. So you're saying, even though the stream of brokenness is affecting how we're interacting, there's still a special connection that we can still maintain to hear the Holy Spirit.
it's true. And I've been reading over and over again. Jesus said something in, I believe it's Matthew 22, and I think it's 36, where he said that when he asked about what is the greatest commandment, and he said, first of all, to love the Lord thy God with all of thy heart and soul and your mind. That's the greatest one. But the second one, right on, just connected, to love your neighbor as you do yourself. On these two commandments hang on the law and the prophet. To be a servant and to love God is to love people, but even in that love, even within you, it has to be purified. You have to allow God to carry you through that process of even the hurts and the pains, and he addressing those things. But that happened in your private time. That does not happen. Sometimes it can happen corporate where you're in a service, but most of the time it happens in your private time, where God actually deal with you. Even when you're not thinking about it, he'll bring it to your remembrance. Okay, it's time to deal with this thing.
Yeah.
And so that's what happened. That's how our healing comes. Jesus said what in Luke 4, 18, I came to heal a broken heart. In other words, I came to do everything that you need. It's there. But it takes time for you to allow God, by your personal time with him, to do the healing. And that's a process. It's not what they say, it's not an event, it's a journey.
Yeah.
It's a process. It don't happen overnight.
I got to take this pause, because what y'all may not know is that I am talking to my mother, and it's a blessing to hear her pour out over 50 years of wisdom in these spaces. So if I take little miniature pauses I'm just pinching myself, shaking myself, because I understand the value of the moment. I hope you guys do as well. But the process, what you're saying is that it may trigger with an event, but the real meat of the work happens when we are alone.
Yes.
And what you're saying is to not discredit being alone and hearing God speak to you in those spaces.
Yes.
That is incredible.
Yes.
That is incredible to hear, because a lot of people feel like because of their brokenness, and you can see, y'all can, just like we can see, you can see where you screwed up, how you screwed up, even and you realize people didn't mean what you thought they meant.
Yeah.
Because there was an occasion, because there was an experience in your life where you weren't treated or handled the way you should have been handled. We talk about molestations.
Yes.
We talk about people who didn't see your innocence and respect it and honor it. And so in the middle of those spaces, you're broken and you don't know how to, you feel defective, you feel like I cannot complete what you're saying. Somebody who's 50 years in this game,
Yeah.
what you're saying is not only is there hope, but there's more ahead of you than there is behind you. And I'm grateful for that.
Yes.